So, Eddie, tell me a little bit about Revise and their story and what types of services you offer.
Yeah, so Revise has been around for about 8 years. Former to that, we were part of DePietro Heating and Cooling, a third generation HVAC company. It's actually Joe's grandfather that started in HVAC, had his own company, kind of learned the trade within HVAC and passed that knowledge on to his grandson, who then started his own business. At the time when Revise started, one of the larger premium companies in MassSave had gone out of business for financial reasons, and actually Revise was born out of the ashes of that. So we pretty much gathered up all the best people, put them in a room, and said, "Hey, we're gonna make this work. We have over 50 years of experience in MassSave right here in this room, and considering MassSave's heritage, that's quite a bit. How do we go about starting our own MassSave partnership and company?" So since then, there were originally five energy advisors from that day. And then over the past 8 years, we've developed and changed and grew. And from that manager or HEA position that I started in, we then became the manager for all the advisors and then the manager for the HVAC sales team. And kind of that's where we're at now here today.
And then, Brian, how did you kind of encounter Revise and how did this partnership between Solaris Renewables and Revise grow?
Well, I started out as a customer, frankly. So I was looking for the MassSave home energy assessment for our home in order to not only learn more about our home and what energy efficiency measures we could take, also about the rebates and other incentives and things that are out there as well, and how all these pieces come together. And just was frankly Googling and searching around for a reputable company, found that Revise was either the highest or one of the most highly rated companies online, and that's kind of narrowed my search down. And I reached out. They were super responsive and came out and did an awesome job on our own energy assessment. And then I've been working on, as on the solar side of things for us, have been looking for a partner honestly for 8 years. And I've been going to several companies and trying to find a partner that does the home energy assessments and does it well in weatherization, and also does HVAC solutions as well. And been trying to find a partner and really found out that one of the Revise's leaders is a customer of ours, and through a conversation said, hey, how can we figure out we can work together? So, and they moved quickly and efficiently, and we've aligned on a program that we can help each other out and each other's customers to leverage energy efficiency and energy solutions. So it's been a great start, and we know that Revise does an excellent job. So we entrust them with our customers, and earning to do the same with theirs.
So, Eddie, tell me a little bit about you mentioned MassSave, and you said that you're like a MassSave partner, and tell me a little bit about MassSave and what that is, and how residents can qualify for MassSave.
Yeah, so MassSave is a collaboration of utility companies. You have your Eversource, you have your National Grid, you have what used to be Columbia Gas, Unitil, all the different energy utility companies that band together to form the overarching program. Okay, so when you call MassSave, you're really not calling a certain entity. You're actually going back to your utility companies, and then we partner with that program and with those utilities to bring all the different rebates and accessibility options to all the different residents of Massachusetts. The whole point of MassSave is to help residents save money, be more comfortable, and overall just be more environmentally friendly. So that's pretty much the program in a nutshell. With that, we really have a focus on insulation, which includes weatherization when we're insulating the attics, the garages, basement ceilings, or perimeters, anything that you would expect to have insulation in, like the exterior walls, as well as air sealing the home. And that's really tightening up the home. When we think about insulation, we generally think about just the physical sweaters that we wear in the winter. But the problem with a sweater on its own is that as soon as that wind blows, it cuts right through it and you end up chilled to the bone. And so that's why we have winter jackets or windbreakers that go over your sweater, or we layer up to stop the airflow and let the insulation do its job. And so that's one of the bread and butters of MassSave, where we focus as a company. And that's really where our heritage started about 8 years ago. And then beyond that, MassSave also does additional rebates for things like heating and cooling, ductless mini splits, or central heat pumps as well. That's kind of the forefront of where we're at today. In addition to that, we partner with solar companies like Solaris in particular, where we can kind of maximize that energy that we are using for heating and cooling and take care of that bill at the same time. So it really is kind of the best of both worlds there. And then beyond that, we're also looking at things like windows and other partnerships to just finalize that thermal envelope and make it a whole home approach to the individual home. As far as getting approved for the program and making sure you're eligible, essentially everyone in Massachusetts already pays a charge on your utility bill. If you pulled out your electric bill or your gas bill, typically on the electric, you're going to see what's called the energy efficiency charge if you're National Grid, or if you're Eversource, it'll be called the energy conservation charge. Those charges are literally in the line items there, and you can see you're probably about 5 years ago, you were paying $1 or $2 per month into it. And now you might be at $5, $10, $15, depending on how much electricity you use. So with that funding in place, you've been paying that charge since back around 1979 or so. And that is what funds the MassSave program. Now, if you're in a 1 to 4 family home, or you have a small commercial building, you can actually contact us. We can come out, do a whole home energy assessment where we evaluate the needs for any of those different items, and then we schedule you and figure out which segment of MassSave you go under from there.
Tell me a little bit more about that and the process of scheduling and completing a MassSave home energy assessment. Do I call MassSave first, or do I go directly to Revise?
Sure. So the easiest way is just come directly to Revise. As Brian already mentioned, we have 5 stars on Better Business Bureau. We're an A+ company. We're probably the highest rated specifically on Better Business Bureau, which is one of the best websites for legitimacy. What you would do is you can go to callrevise.com, hit the contact us button in the top right. That'll give you a link to put in your information, your utility companies, and then we run the approval for you to make sure that we get you in the best program with the best rebates for you. You can also go ahead and just reach out to our 1-800 number, 1-800-885-7283. Option 1 goes right to our front office to schedule those appointments, where we can get you in often within the next day or at least the same week or next week.
And then with all of our customers as well, or potential customers as well, we are offering, to get a home energy assessment with Revise and talk to Revise. So we have our customers as an expectation to round out their energy solution is to look at the whole home and learn the health and safety of their heating system, like Eddie was talking about, what the condition of their envelope and the conditioning for their home and comfort level is, as well as other energy saving measures. And I'm sure that Eddie will speak more about, but it's a really outstanding program, and we just include them as the expectation that we want to set all of our customers up to speak to the Revise and get that, again, program that they have already been paying for some time on their energy bill, and be able to take advantage of those pieces. And then it's also, you get a lot of information for future things, appliance rebates, heat pump, domestic hot water rebates, things like that. And you get a lot of information to learn really what's going on with the home. And that really meshes with what we're trying to do to create, energy solutions and manage energy solutions. So it allows the impact that we're making to go even further by working with a company like Revise.
So then again, is there any charge to the homeowner for getting an energy assessment done, or is that just paid for by that charge on their energy bill, like you were talking about?
Yeah, so it's already fully funded by the energy bill. So the whole home energy assessment is no cost to every homeowner, no matter which program they're in. We come out, we assess the home from there. That assessment does take about 2 to 3 hours. And as part of that, as Brian mentioned, we're actually doing diagnostic testing on the heating system, making sure it's safer, checking out all the insulation levels throughout the home and looking at every facet from there.
And there's no requirement for the homeowner that, like, when you make some recommendations, okay, you need to replace your windows and add insulation and do this and this. The homeowner's not required to get all of those things done.
Nope, not at all. At the end of the day, we're going to generate a whole home report. We go into the specifics when it comes to the insulation. If you have a great roof for solar, we're going to put you right in touch with Solaris, let their specialists handle the whole details of that. And we just kind of get everything set up and kind of give you an overarching goal of those other projects outside of the insulation.
So based on what you typically find with homes here in Massachusetts, what are some of the most common places in the home that really need those energy saving upgrades?
Yeah, so there's, like I said, a couple different divisions, right? There's your heating and cooling, there's your insulation, there's your windows, and then your solar or your renewables. Okay, those are your main facets that you can bucket any home into, and oftentimes homes can take advantage of multiple ones together. Now, specifically within the weatherization, which is the insulation air sealing component we mentioned earlier, That component is going to be the basement sill plate or rim joist. So if you're thinking about being down in your basement and you're looking up at the ceiling, typically around the perimeter of the home, you can see a piece of wood, all the floor joists hitting that perimeter. That
Sometimes even
perimeter
see
joist.
outside if it's like a brick foundation and whatnot, right?
What's that?
You can sometimes even see right outside.
Right. Yeah, when there's enough holes in it, that's for sure. So right where that rim joist is, that sill plate, where the ceiling joists are meeting the floor joist or the perimeter joist, we like to seal around that with expandable spray foam and then put in some fiberglass or some rigid board above it to make sure that we're separating the inside from the outside of that basement. So that would be an example of how we air seal and insulate the basement rim joist around that perimeter. In addition, after that, the next place is always the exterior walls. If your home is built pre-1970, you don't have 3 inches of insulation in your walls because they physically didn't make it. So it's one of those things that it's just like cell phones in the 80s. If you said, "Oh yeah, I had my cell phone in 1990," I would say bullshit. Am I allowed to say that, by the way? Is that okay? So at that point, we're checking out the walls to make sure that they are fully insulated with up to 4 inches or more of a dense pack cellulose or fiberglass batting or whatever might be used at the time. A lot of times in the 1940s, you'd actually find some rock wool insulation with some balsam wool or kind of yellowish, now dirty yellow types in there, or even tinfoil back in the 50s was very common. So we check out the exterior walls, we see if we can insulate those. If we want to do that, we actually do it by from the outside most of the time, take off some siding, blow in cellulose in the wall cavity itself to fill it up nice and tight. This way it becomes like little Ralphie from A Christmas Story, he's got all the sweaters on. He can't even move his arms. That's how we're trying to insulate those walls. And then we put the siding back on so you never know it was done. And then lastly, of course, up in the attic, that's where a lot of people think of insulation. Your heat's going to rise. So we want to seal where that hot air goes through. Anywhere where there's a light fixture, a wall plate, a bath fan, anything in the ceiling above us, there's a little hole and a small wire or a gap around it. So we seal those gaps with expandable spray foam when we're air sealing in the attics. Okay. So again, you look at your basement, walls, attic, those are pretty much the main components of every home. Different styles like caves might have front attics or crawl spaces, things like that we can also treat. Garage ceilings are very common. All the different areas that you can think of improving the thermal boundary.